Hey guys, so with all the Sternritters coming out in the anime, I thought I would do a quick tier list. Of course, this tier list is all my opinion. I'm basing this off of powers, like how strong these Sternritter are, not personal favorites. So I hope you guys enjoy. Don't get too heated up over this stuff. We're just having fun. If you disagree, though, feel free to voice that in the chat or the comments, and yeah, let's get started. Obvious spoil warning. I have read the manga, however, it has been a while, so I might forget some things or overlook some things. Again, feel free to mention that if that's the case, but be respectful about it. All right. With all that out of the way, let's start off here. It's kind of fitting. I put in the thumbnail, I put Asnot. So let's start with Asnot. Um, so Sternritter F, the Fear. I think he goes in B tier for me. His fear power is on paper pretty hacked, and he's quite strong. Rukia needed her Bankai to defeat him, and but Byakuya kind of no diffed him. But then again, Byakuya I think no diffs many of the other Sternritter on B tier. So you know, I think B tier is a good start. We might move some of these around as we go. Now we got Askin next. Askin has to be S tier. He's one of the Royal Guards. He has a pretty hacks ability too. His lethal dose control. You can do a lot of crazy stuff with that. So I think S tier is perfect. He's also really intelligent. That helps him out. So easy S tier in my opinion. Now Bombayetta, obviously a favorite among the Sternritter chicks. I think she's B tier. Her power is pretty good. It's not like super hacks, but it's not simple either, like whatever she hits will explode and turn into a bomb, so you can't block it through normal means. If it could be blocked through normal means or something, you'd probably put her in like C tier, right? Or if it wasn't as powerful as it is, but it's actually pretty good. She two-shot Shinji like he was nothing, because Shinji was being a bit of a dumbass, but it is what it is. And I think Kamamura would have lost to her if he did not have his new ability that let him just tank whatever blows she could dish out. That said, if either way, if Kawamura landed a swing from that sword, she was still kind of a goner. Her durability is not the best. Her physical strength is actually not lacking either. We did see her clash swords with his base form, so there's that as well. I think B tier is good. Out of the Sternritter chicks, she's probably the most powerful as far as raw power, I think. Though you might be able to make an argument for the glutton. Anyway, as for Basby here, I think he goes in A tier. He was able to surprise the Sternritter chicks. I think that already is enough to put him in A tier. More than that, in the manga, it's actually stated that he is the one who protected the Sternritters who attacked Yamamoto. So we can actually scale this guy's flames to Yamamoto's Shikai. I don't think they're stronger than his Shikai, or as strong necessarily, but they're just strong enough that Yamamoto's Shikai was not able to kill him. Certainly not in that big blast that we saw. So I think A tier, and we've seen some great feats from him, like Toshiro probably could not defeat him in his first in his like in his form at the beginning of the arc, and I bet you he could have defeated him with one finger even if he had his Bankai. As funny as that sounds, so I think solid A tier. Basby also has plenty of experience. He's been alive for like 1,000 years, just like Hashwolf. So A tier. I almost forgot Hashwolf's name. That's kind of funny. Anyway. Oh yes, the question. Bernice, right? Yeah, that's his name. This guy is D tier. His power is basically to monologue and make you grow unsure of yourself. It's kind of silly, but Kenpachi just came up to him and ripped his throat out. He didn't even have a chance to use his ability. So, yeah, we gotta put him in D tier. He seems like an arrogant prick. He did not take Kenpachi too seriously, and he paid for it. So, D tier. And here we got BG9. I think BG9 is like low B tier. In fact, I'm gonna order these. I'm going to try and order them. So I think as far as power, it's kind of funny. I think B tier is kind of hard to order, and we'll see that as we go. Bombayetta has more destructive power than Asnot, but Asnot has more hacks, so you can honestly debate either way. I think Bombayetta's power puts her above Asnot. Remember, this is someone who landed a bunch of lethal blows against Komamura and nearly killed Shinji in 2 hits. So that's pretty damn impressive. Now we got Candace, another one of the favorite waifus, and I definitely consider her one of mine as well. Definitely above BG9. BG9's not that impressive, honestly. I kind of glossed over him, but I think he's still stronger than C tier, and he was able to land some blows on Soyphone. That says something about his speed of attacks, but he doesn't have a whole lot of hacks. It's just he has a lot of knowledge, I think, and he has some durability too. I think that durability is actually above Kang Do, the Iron, and wow, he's actually right here. That's funny. He's gonna be coming up next. So, and he has a bunch of weaponry, a bunch of missiles. So I think that actually puts him above many Sternritter. But nonetheless, we're gonna keep him in B tier. As for Candace, she damaged Kenpachi, and Kenpachi was injured, to be fair. He had a bunch of organs ruptured. He was not in any shape to fight. But I still think injuring Kenpachi at all, considering Kenpachi has done all that training, is still pretty impressive. And moreover, she forced Ichigo to use Getsuga Jujutsu, so... But she doesn't really stand out amongst the B tiers, I don't think. You could argue Bombayetta is actually stronger than her, so I'll put Candace like right here. She harmed Kenpachi, so I think that puts her above Asnot. Though Asnot has a really badass Sternritter form, I gotta say. As far as form, I'd put Asnot like above everyone in B tier, and actually definitely above Basby. Basby's form is kind of terrible, so. But we're just rating based on power here, not aesthetics, so that's where Candace will go. She's definitely below Bambayetta, I think. But you can debate that. You can debate that. And her lightning ability is pretty cool. Okay, Kang Du. Or is it Sang Du? I don't speak Chinese. He's a Chinese character. He's kind of cool in that regard, but unfortunately his power is not much to speak of. I'm kind of debating C tier or D tier. Let's put him C tier. He was fighting hand to hand with Toshiro for a bit. But the problem is his power is the iron. That's where he Wolf, but then Hash Wolf used the balance to finish him off, so it didn't last very long. And Toshiro just messed him up. And my thing here is having solid skin is not an impressive thing in Bleach. That's something literally every Arrancar has for starters. And all Sternritter have something called Blutvein. Or is it Blutvena? Anyway. That's a power where you course reishi through your veins, and that allows you to solidify your skin and then ward off blows, essentially. Not to mention the fact that if your Ryatsu is high, you don't need any special iron skin ability to begin with. You'll just repel anything, so... The fact that he needs this really weird power to even keep up with some of these characters as far as durability, I think speaks to his weakness. And he doesn't have anything beyond that. He doesn't have any, like, special spells or anything. So I think it's the captain hand to hand. Kang Do at least took on Toshiro for a little bit. So, I think C tier is perfect. Now we got O'Driscoll, the overkill. C tier or D tier, man? Honestly, he's barely, I want to say barely above lieutenant level. Like, he's barely captain level. Because he had to steal, I bet you he had to steal Chojiro's Bankai to defeat him. I don't think he could have won just with his base strength. Yamamoto, of course, just completely annihilated him. He was able to defeat. He was able to defeat. Damn, what? Why is his name escaping me? Wow. Anyway. Yeah, the name's completely escaping me, but the guy with the damn Kasurigama. Look, it's been a while. Anyway. Anyway, the point is, he is not a very tough dude, I don't think. And he has to kill to get a bunch of strength. And I guess it's potential in theory. If he kills a bunch of people, I don't know. Maybe he gets S tier at some point. I don't know. But I just don't see him ever getting to that point. He's still stronger than the questioner, though. But but yeah, it is what it is. Okay, here we got Sternritter M, the Miracle, Gerhard Valkyrie. Now, Gerhard Valkyrie is just total bullshit, as you'd expect from someone who's called the Miracle. He's got power that rivals that of Kenpachi. He's got insane healing ability. And the way the miracle works is the more unlikely an event is to happen, the more likely it is to happen. It's sort of the opposite. So, in theory, he could strike someone stronger than him and have a good chance of causing some damage. It's crazy. And his forms are just so powerful. So, we gotta put him S tier easily. He's godlike. Yeah, this is the thing of doing it live, you forget names. But anyway. Yeah, Gerard Valkyrie gets to be S tier. Alright, Gazelle. The Trap, as many people would call her. I know that's not very politically correct to say, but they kind of set it up that way in the anime, to be honest. So, yeah, anime's not politically correct. That's how it goes. Anyway, I don't care that she's actually a man. Biologically speaking, she can identify as a girl if she wants. She's adorable. Probably wouldn't fuck her, but, you know, is what it is. She's still a really cool character, well written, and a total creep and necrophiliac too. She is a shitty person in many ways as the zombie. Um, as to where I put her, here's the thing: B tier again, as I've said, is so tough to to rank. You know, because her power is pretty damn hacks. If like she can zombify people, if we think about strength in terms of her ability to zombify these people, she can't actually zombify any Quincy without killing them, so it's kind of a limitation on her power. She waited until Bombayetta was injured to actually attempt it. If she could do it earlier, presumably she would have. Also, it's Hisage, by the way. I forgot his name somehow, but Hisage is the guy O'Driscoll defeated. Came to my mind. Anyway. Yeah, so her power is pretty hacked. She can turn you into a zombie if you're not a Quincy, with sometimes drops of her blood. It depends on the amount of Ryatsu. So it is a very hacked ability, but it only goes so far, as many abilities do in Bleach. With that being said, I think I'll rank her below Candace, because I think Candace can sort of just sit back and zap her with lightning, right? Would that lightning kill her is the question. I don't know if we have the feats to say so. She's pretty durable in the sense she can take a lot of punishment and heal herself. That's a pretty hack thing too. She can heal herself using the matter of other people. She's a pretty strong, like necromancer type character. I think her ability is more hacks than Asnot. Definitely more hacks than BG9. I don't know if her power would work on BG9, but still, her strength is pretty solid. But her hacks is pretty potent. As far as utility in a fight, if we just ignore the fact that it doesn't work on Quincy's, you could actually argue for her being above the two chicks. I honestly am just gonna, as far as brute strength, she is a fair bit weaker though, I think, so we will put her in the middle of B tier. But honestly, as I said, this bit of the tier list can go anyway, honestly, once you get past Asnot, so we'll leave it there. Now we got Gremmy. Gremmy is the visionary, actually, Sternritter V. His power is he can just imagine whatever the fuck he wants into existence, which is pretty hacks, to say the least. But the visionary does have a weakness, and that's if he imagines himself failing or he has self-doubts, that can also come into reality. So he has to be a bit careful of his power. He's very inexperienced with his power too. And he's not afraid to destroy his friends in the process if he wants to like drop a meteor in everyone's head just so that he can survive and win all the glory. He'll do that, and he tried that, but failed because Kenpachi just cut it in two. Still, taking on Kenpachi for as long as he did, that puts him in S tier on its own, and I would put him above Oof. Yeah, I would put him above Askin as far as potential. Askin's an intelligent guy though, man. He might be able to find a way to really screw Grammy up, but as far as power, I think Grammy does beat him. I think that's pretty objective. I mean, Askin was pretty afraid of him, I think, of what he could do. And he was kind of monologuing about that. So, yeah, we're going to put him right in the middle of S tier for now. Oh, wait. Oh, this is the guy I almost forgot who this guy was. This is the guy Ewok saw. Like Yamamoto brought him to life just to mess with Ewoks. Not Ewoks. It was actually Roy Lloyd, of course. But that's kind of the twist. But yeah, it's to mess with his mind. Yamamoto thought it was Ewok he was fighting, but he actually wasn't. It was Roy Lloyd. So we're gonna put him D tier. We just don't know what he's capable of or anything. So we're just gonna leave him there. Sternritter R, the Roar. I don't know what this guy's name is actually. He doesn't appear for very long. Kenpachi just split him in half in a damn flashback. So, but his power is the Roar. It's literally what it sounds like. Just a super powerful roar. He's also superhuman strong, presumably. He looks like a gorilla mixed with a human, and he's really strong. So that doesn't really say much. I think that puts him above the D tier characters, though. You could argue he's above Kang Zhu with his power as well. Because honestly, the iron is just not that impressive. So, I don't know. When he roared, Kenpachi just didn't care. So, but he did just completely annihilate a bunch of Soul Reapers just by roaring. So I think I'll put him above Kangsu. But anyway, you can argue either way there, I suppose. Now we got Hashwolf. I think Hashwolf's above Gremmy, but below Gerhard, potentially. This is debatable. S tier is kind of hard to rank at this point once we get the really strong guys in here. But I'm going to put him here. I think he was the one who had the best chance of surviving that meteor. Of course, Valkyrie wasn't there. So we're just disregarding him. I think Hashwolf could have survived it. So I think he might be slightly above Grammy. Here's the thing. If Grammy gets lucky, Hashwolf can immediately turn that back on him. And then if Grammy starts getting self-doubt, then he's in trouble. But if Gremmy's really smart with his imaginary powers, in theory, he's better. In theory, he defeats Hashwolf, but I just don't think he has the mental state to do so. So I actually put Hashwolf above him, but I think it is a bit debatable from what we've seen these two do. Now we got Lily, or Lille, the X Factor, Sternritter X, actually, for those who aren't aware. If you're not aware, I don't know why you're here, but yeah, this guy's pretty powerful. He's got a bunch of light-based abilities. He can shoot through just about anything with that sniper rifle of his. Askin's pretty strong himself, but Lille's pretty strong. I think I'll put Lille as far as like strength. I'd put him above Askin, but Askin is a useful asset in a fight without a doubt. Like once you get to the Royal Guards, these guys are all just insane. Well, actually, Gremmy's not a Royal Guard. That's the thing. He's not a Royal Guard, but he's still got the strength to be among them if he were chosen. So all the same, though, I think he goes above Askin. Askin is pretty hacks, but I still think Lille has better feats to his name. And he's fought some pretty strong characters. Askin has too, but I think Lille has demonstrated that he's superior. Sternritter G, the Glutton. I always forget her name. Hang on. Liliotto, yeah, okay. Liliotto. So, Liliotto, her power's the glutton. She can steal powers from those she eats, and she can just gobble people up. She has a bunch of neat powers like Spork and Spife. It's like she mixes a spoon with a knife and then cuts you. It's like a spiky thing when she's in her when she's in her Volstanic. It's kind of funny. She's really intelligent too. She's definitely the true leader of the Sternritter. Bombayetta liked to think she was the leader, but really she wasn't. Candace tries to take take charge, but no one really listens to her. So I think that does say something. Um, as far as strength, I'd put her above Candace. I think she sticks around for a while, and the fact that she can steal powers—that's pretty hacks. I think Bombayetta still beats her as far as raw power, but I've seen people debate that she's actually the strongest out of them all, so you can debate that way too. I don't quite agree, but if these two were to fight, it would be a fight for sure. All right, so this is Lloyd. This is the guy Kenpachi defeated. So what he did was he transformed. Obviously, he's Sternritter Y, the yourself. There's two Sternritter Ys. We'll get to the other one after this, but what he did was he turned into Kenpachi, and then of course Kenpachi just became stronger than his impression of him, and so Kenpachi just came out on top. It didn't. He couldn't adapt in time. So in theory, if he perceives your power properly, because his thing is he can transform into you and use your strength, so he could fight you to a stalemate, or fight you to, or just fight really evenly with you, such that it's toss up. But it seems like he has trouble perceiving like Ryatsu properly, at least from the way Kenpachi described it. So I was thinking of putting him in A tier because of potential, but honestly, I think B tier. His power is kind of hacks, but at the same time, there's clear ways to overcome it. So he's like bottom B tier. You could even put him top C tier, but I think bottom B tier. Is he below BG9 though? I think he is. I think he is. But in theory, he could transform into somebody that allows him to like be strong enough to be an S tier, but I think we'll just leave him there. Oh yeah, Sternritter S, the superstar, Maste Masculine. The real Sternritter is actually James, which is kind of funny. James is not actually that strong, but together, James and Maste Masculine are an insane duo. You can honestly argue A tier because of how overpowered the superstar is. I think you just have to ask yourself, like, what would the Sternritter do if they encountered the superstar? And I think Bombayetta could possibly blow them both up at once. Is she smart enough to do that? That's a different question, I suppose. But I think Gazelle, with her blood, could really mess this guy up. By the way, I'm not saying he's bottom of B tier. I'm just figuring out where to place him. Um, so we gotta put him above BG9 at the very least. I think above Askin, sorry, as not above Askin, as well. Um, as far as strength, he would definitely go above Gazelle. It's just that that blood is pretty dangerous stuff. Um, yeah, this is definitely tough, but like I was saying earlier, I think B tier is just hard to rank in general because there's a lot of these matchups where you could think, oh, maybe if he fights a specific person, he loses, but he fights another person, he wins, that type of thing. Mike, I don't think he's better than he's better than Basby though. That's my thing. I think Basby is actually a pretty damn tough guy. So I just realized I basically put all the Sternritter chicks together. Totally not biased. Oh man. But if I'm being honest though, I don't know. Candace damage Kenpachi. That's oof. Yeah, it's a tough one, but I think middle of B tier is reasonable. You could honestly argue A tier. Um, as far as raw strength, he definitely beats Gazelle. But here's the problem with him. Here's the problem with him. If you remember, he doesn't get like his full power right away. He has to constantly be cheered up. And at first he's like lieutenant level. He's like he starts out here at C tier. He doesn't I wouldn't say D tier, but he starts out at C tier to the point where Renji without Soul Palace training was at least able to sort of stand up to him, you know? So if Bambayetta takes him seriously, for instance, I think he gets destroyed before he gets a chance to really power up. If he starts out powered up and has the superstar ability ready to go, man, he could go to A tier easily and even defeat Basby maybe, but I do think these characters, some of them do have the potential to stall him, if not shut down his ability. So it's really tough to rank this. You could honestly put him above Gazelle maybe as far as strength. I think I'll do that. But Gazelle does have hacks. And obviously against him though it won't work if he's not dead, but imagine if he is dead. Oh man. But yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense. Because we're going by strength here, and Gazelle's hacks is not to the point where I think she should be above him necessarily. But, you know, in a fight, she's a really useful asset and she can heal people and whatnot, so that's not to disregard that. Oh, whoops. Didn't mean to put Menina's in D tier. Menina's is actually stated to be stronger than base Kenpachi as far as physical strength. That's a pretty good feat. Does that put her above Mass Day Masculine? I actually think it does. Mass Day Masculine, however, can like what does she do that would stop Mass Day Masculine completely though? That's my question. I don't know if she has anything, and Lilioto could eat him, right? That's another thing. Lilioto could eat him, gain his ability, and that's trouble. That would be trouble. So I think he might be above Menina's just because of hacks, but Menina's is stronger than him. I just don't know if Menina's would have a way of permanently stopping him. So I'm actually gonna move her right here. She is stronger than Gazelle. Gazelle, however, could use her blood on her, and that would be trouble. And she doesn't really have a way of avoiding that. So I think I'm gonna put Menina's down a couple pegs. But as I keep saying, B tier is so debatable. Once you get to B tier, all the Sternritters are pretty evenly matched. It comes down to what sort of matchups take place, but I think this is pretty close to what it is. All right. Crap, what's this guy? Najikoob. Yeah, Najikoob. Jeez, his name escaped me somehow. Yeah, this guy is a really funky name and a funky ability. He's not the strongest, but oof. Here's the thing, he stalled Aizen. That was a pretty impressive feat on his part, and Byakuya's cloak was what protected him from his ability. So I think he at least deserves B tier, right? But that said, he's physically kind of weak. He's not like the strongest dude ever. But he's got that hacks ability. He finds weaknesses in the Ryatsu. That's his thing. So I'm just thinking here. Um, Like, here's the thing is, stalling Aizen, that is... I think some people might not realize how impressive that is as a feat. Someone who has Kyokai Suigetsu and possibly the most Ryatsu out of everyone, like in the series period, except for Yuha or Yuha. So that puts him pretty high in my boat. But he wasn't really able to threaten Aizen. Not many people can though, to be fair. So just trying to think if he can find weaknesses in Ryatsu, that puts him above many of these characters. He wasn't shown to be like much more of a threat than Candace was. I think we'll put him in B tier. He's really reliant on his ability, but if his ability fails for some reason, he's in a lot of trouble. So that's my reasoning there. Wind, actually, it turns out. Which makes sense. Nyanzo Weisel. Very funky guy. I liked how they changed the fight in the anime. Flows much better. And I feel like this isn't the type of guy that Squad Zero would actually struggle with. He has an ability where he warps space such that attacks that he perceives with his instinct will not hit him. But I think this is the type of thing a captain would not have a huge problem dealing with if they're crafty. It's one of those abilities that's kind of annoying, and if you're a weak character, you're in trouble if you fight him, but it seemed like he was beaten pretty easily as soon as a crafty solution was thought of, so I think C tier for him. Now, Sternritter L, the love, Pepe, his name's Pepe. My least favorite Sternritter, I'd love to put him in D tier. Well, I guess the question, actually, I don't like, the question's even worse in my mind, but I would love to put him in D tier, but let's be honest with ourselves. He's weak. He's definitely weak. He deserves to be the bottom of C tier, I think. But, you know, if he catches you with the love, it is still trouble, you know? It is still trouble, so you could argue actually he's above Kang Do, but I think Kang Do has better hand-to-hand combat abilities, so and speed and whatnot, so I'll actually put him above Pepe still. Now Pernita's pretty insane himself. He is the compulsory. He has a bunch of powers, like he can replicate himself. He can hit you with his nerve endings and control your nerves. Pretty gruesome ability. We saw that in the anime too. He definitely has to be S tier. He's one of the royal guards himself. Also, the Hand of the Soul King. I did warn about spoilers, so for those who stuck around, you obviously know about that or don't care that you're spoiled. So like this guy's literally part of the Soul King. And so in my mind he automatically gets S tier. Now the question is, where do you put him in S tier? Honestly, that you can S tier is also very hard to rank. You could argue Gremia is above Pernita. But if Pernita catches him at the wrong time, Pernita could really mess him up too. Lille's pretty strong as well. See, I'm kind of blanking here as to where to put this guy, but I think he is above Askin. Askin is still really strong though. That's not to downplay what he's capable of. Yes, I think S tier, pretty solid S tier. You're gonna find, by the way, I think A tier is not gonna have very many people. It's funny, like with the Sternritters, it's like most of them are B tier in my mind. Then there's like one guy in A tier, maybe two, maybe there's two, and then all of a sudden you've got these really godly beings, all of them in S tier. There's not very much in between, so. And I do not think Mambayetta deserves A tier. I think she should stay at top of the B tier. You could honestly argue even a bit lower, but that's where I'm gonna put her. Okay, Killgate Opie. This guy is the first Sternritter we are we are acquainted with, and he put on a pretty good showing for himself, but Ichigo's Bankai, fake Bankai, I should say, was too much for him, I would say. And moreover, he kind of got bodied by Ion before he used Slava Ray, and Slava Ray is a really overpowered ability. It's probably what makes Quincy's overpowered, to be honest. It's at least relative to many Soul Reaper abilities. It depends on the Soul Reaper too. He seems to be the master of that ability, which I think says a lot about him. We don't see the others use it to the same extent. We might see more Slava Ray though. We saw the Sternritter girls use it. We saw Robert Akatron use it. So we might see more of that ability, and my mind might be changed. But I think Kilgay is the one who used it to the greatest effect, and it was such a badass moment. As to where to put him, here's the thing: his jail ability, yes, it cannot really trap a Quincy. So as far as fighting the Quincy's, he doesn't really have anything special, does he? He can't jail a Quincy, but that's the whole point. Yuha, I think, inserted that weakness on purpose so that he couldn't, start turning against him. But all the same, if you consider the fact that only Quincy's can break it, at least that's what was stated, that's also pretty hacks, I think. So you gotta consider, like, how does he function against people who are not Quincy's, right? Not just Quincy's in general. And I think that's enough to put him pretty high. I think mid B tier for me. He's kind of he's a really good intro to what the Sternritters are capable of. He's not a godlike being. He's not as strong as Basby, I don't think. Basby surprised Ichigo of his speed. Like, as did Robert, but Robert's weaker, so we'll get to him when that comes up. But I think Kilgay Opie just gets the middle spot. I think Menina's could really pulverize him physically, but oof. It's just he's got hacks, so it's kind of tough, right? But given that Ion was able to pummel him, you could argue Menino's can definitely do the same. So there is that. But if you go by hacks, the jail is pretty insane as an ability, so it's debatable, but I think Kilgay is slightly above. Um, but I know I keep repeating myself, but B tier is just kind of up in the air, I think, in a lot of ways. And it's very matchup dependent, so we'll go with that. Robert Akatron, he's Sternritter N. We don't know what it is. We did not get his letter, unfortunately. We also did not get BG9s still. I think BG9's the knowledge. Robert Akatron is probably N the nimble because his thing is speed and using guns. He shot out Shunsui's eye. That's a pretty damn insane feat right there. He almost killed him, right? But Shunsui's a funny case. He's really strong, but he rarely fights at like full power. And his swords are the same way. His swords rarely cooperate. He said it himself. They don't always play games. They don't always play the games that he wants them to play either. So that kind of screws him over in a lot of ways. So I don't know if the fact that he shot his eye is as big of a feat as people think. It's still a really good feat. Is it enough to put him A tier though? He lasted longer than a lot of the B tier Ritters did against Byakuya, but he still got destroyed. Byakuya had to use Bankai to stop him though, and the others were just stopped with Shikai. And that might speak to something, especially now that we saw him use Slava Ray, the Walk of God. I think you could actually argue A tier for him with the amount he surprised Ichigo with speed. My only thing is that I don't think he's displayed a whole lot of destructive power. He has displayed a lot of, like, his power is pretty concentrated in his guns, so he can harm people like Shunsui without a problem. Yeah, so he's kind of tough, but speed is a pretty damn important advantage. And I think the fact that he can harm certain high-level captains actually means he could harm a lot of these Sternritter pretty bad. So, but that's the thing, was Byakuya using Bankai just to make it easier on himself, or did he actually need it to defeat him? I guess that'd be my question. I don't know if he needed his Bankai, really. It's just his Bankai made it so much easier. But, at minimum, Robert is B tier. You could argue A tier, maybe. Bamba Yaga just has way more destructive power than him. So, but I bet you Robert could also defeat Shinji. Nah, Shinji's ability would counter him pretty well. That's the way Hacks is, and some of these matchups are, right? It's like certain characters just defeat other characters because their powers are more compatible for the matchup. So that's just how it goes. If we speak objectively as far as just like physical abilities and stuff, um, I think he lasted longer than Candace against Byakuya. I think so. You can argue putting him above Candace in that regard. I think he could harm Kenpachi, right, with his gun. Would he be able to kill Kenpachi? No, but he could harm him for sure. Then again, it's hard to kill Kenpachi, so that is what it is. Eating is pretty hacks, so I think I'd still put him above Lilioto. Maybe Bombayetta narrowly defeats him as far as power. Yeah, I think we'll do that. Then I'm thinking, oh, there's the superstar though. What if he can't kill the superstar? Yeah, this is where you can just debate on and on because there's certain hacks characters here who would give him a lot of trouble. So I put him above Candace, but I will do that with the disclaimer that in certain matchups this guy would still be utterly screwed. I think down the road here. There's just certain matchups up here where I think he would actually win. So I won't put him like top 2, but I'll put him right here. But that's a tough one. You guys can feel free to let me know in the chat what you think or the comments. And now we've got Lloyd or Royd Lloyd. I get the two confused. It's possible I messed this up, but this guy this guy scales well to Yamamoto. He pretended to be Ewok and just went ham. But Yamamoto's Bankai at full power ultimately eventually overcame him pretty good. And Yamamoto is weakened because he lost that arm. That was a pretty important plot point. So I don't think he actually deserves S tier. But this guy, the unique thing about him is he actually doesn't copy strength. That was all his raw strength that we saw there when he was fighting Yamamoto. And I'm just trying to think, like, would some of these guys be able to throw hands with Yamamoto as long as he did? I think someone like Gerard could, but oof, it's kind of tough, isn't it? You could honestly almost argue putting him somewhere in S tier, but Yamamoto did kind of one-shot him, and Yamamoto probably was trying to make him suffer too. I get the impression Yamamoto was not just in kill mode, he was in revenge mode. Bit of a difference there. He was definitely going to kill him, it's just he was taking his time with it. I don't think he has a lot of hacks. That might be the key that puts him in A tier. Because you gotta remember, like, the balance, the miracle. This guy is shooting through stuff. He has light magic. This guy imagines anything. This guy has the nerves. Uh, and then lethal dose manipulation. I mean, this guy just doesn't have any hacks. He has some cool Quincy spells, but He doesn't have any hacks to really compete with them, does he? So I think A tier is fair. As far as raw power, he has enough for S tier, but there's so many characters here with hacks that I just don't feel comfortable putting him higher, personally. But that's just my take. And the fact that Yamamoto was not fighting as efficiently as he could have. It made for a good fight, of course, but that's just how Yamamoto was. That was the state of mind he was in, which I totally get. That's not a point against the plot or anything. And I forget this guy's name that says something. D tier, Ichigo just destroyed him. He didn't even get a chance to really introduce himself or what he can do. I think we learned later a bit more about him in the manga. I forget exactly what we learned, but he's unremarkable. So a D tier. And Uryu, of course, has to be S tier. The antithesis is a pretty overpowered ability in its own right. It's kind of like the balance in some ways of how it works. And honestly, I think his power, the antithesis, basically, for those who don't know, he can reflect damage he's taken back onto others. He's obviously got a bunch of crazy Quincy abilities too. He was able to harm Ichigo a little bit in the recent fight. He's definitely not as strong as Gerard, I don't think. Gerhard has him beat. I think Hashwolf has him beat too, as far as power. Gremmy probably could give him a hell of a fight. I think it's just hacks that allows Yuru to win. Because whatever Gremmy does will just get reflected onto him, and Gremmy's not very smart with his ability, so I think Uryu is, you know, top 3 Sternritter. I think he does defeat these other guys too, but they would give him a fight. And so that's my list, guys. Hope you enjoyed watching this. It's just me rambling, sometimes forgetting names too, kind of embarrassing, but like I said, been a while since I've read the manga. Only recently watched the anime again. Love it though. Love the series. As far as watching the anime, I've been watching a lot of that. So also the original series and stuff. I grew up with Bleach, so really happy to see this anime come back. It's been years. So and the arc I think is being done justice. There's some directions it's going, which I think will be an improvement on the manga. So I hope that trend continues because I think there is potential for it to be improved further. But how long have I been streaming for? It feels like it's been a bit. Yeah, 48 minutes or so. 49. I think we'll end it there. This was meant to be a quick stream, so I won't go any longer than that. Won't waste any more of your time. Um, anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Let me know what you think in the comments. Just be respectful, guys. This is all my thoughts, and I'm kind of doing this on a whim. I'm not looking I'm not doing a bunch of research and then making this list. If I was doing that, maybe my thoughts would be a bit different, but these are just fictional characters. Don't take it too seriously. Anyway, see you guys next time.